Throughout the years that David was on the run from King Saul, who wanted to kill him, he had to do a lot of stressful, ridiculous, but at times necessary things to evade King Saul's pursuit. Moving throughout Israel, hiding in the wilderness with his army, setting up headquarters in caves, and even having to pretend to be a madman before the king of one of Israel's enemies. I mean, there's literally a whole coordinated map by ESV.org of all the places David fled to while Saul was pursuing him. And in this installment of Unsung Bible Stories, we would be looking at the time David pretended to be a madman before the king of Gath in his efforts to evade King Saul. Reading from 1 Samuel chapter 21. Then David came to Nob to Abimelech the priest, and Abimelech came to meet David, trembling, and said to him, "Why are you alone and no one with you?" And David said to Abimelech the priest, "The king has charged me with my matter and said to me, let no one know anything of the matter about which I send you, and with which I have charged you. I have made an appointment with the young men for such and such a place. Now then, what do you have on hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread or whatever is here." And the priest answered David, "I have no common bread on hand, but there is holy bread, that the young men have kept themselves from women." And David answered the priest, "Truly women have been kept from us, as always when I go on an expedition. The vessels of the young men are holy even when it is an ordinary journey. How much more today will their vessels be holy?" So the priest gave him the holy bread, for there was no bread there but the bread of the presence, which is removed from before the Lord, to be replaced by hot bread on the day it is taken away. So a little context on the showbread from Christian commentary sources. The importance and meaning of the bread are found in its name. Literally, showbread means bread of faces. It is bread associated with and to be eaten before the face of God. To eat the showbread was to eat God's bread in God's house as a friend and a guest of the Lord, enjoying his hospitality. In that culture, eating together formed a bond of friendship that was permanent and sacred. The showbread was always to be fresh. Abimelech would give David the old showbread, as we saw in verse 6. The showbread was not to be treated casually. In fact, it was to be eaten by the priest according to Leviticus chapter 24 verse 9, which says, "And it shall be for Aaron and his sons, and they shall eat in a holy place." While this passage in Leviticus does not specifically say that only priests can eat the showbread, it establishes the principle that it must be regarded as holy and can't be distributed casually. So Abimelech asked David for a basic level of ceremonial cleanness before he gave him the showbread, which as we see when the priest asked if the young men have kept themselves from women. Continuing to verse 7, "Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before the Lord. His name was Doeg the Edomite, the chief of Saul's herdsmen. Then David said to Abimelech, Then have you not here a spear or a sword at hand? For I have brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste. And the priest said, The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you struck down in the valley of Elath, behold, it is here, wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you would take that, take it, for there is none but that here. And David said, There is none like that, give it to me. And David rose and fled that day from Saul and went to Achish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said to him, Is not this David, the king of the land? Did they not sing to one another of him in dances? Saul has struck down thousands, and David his 10,000s. And David took these words to heart and was much afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. So he changed his behavior before them and pretended to be insane in their hands and made marks on the doors of the gate and let his spit run down his beard. Then Achish said to his servants, Behold, you see this man is mad. Why then have you brought him to me? Do I lack madmen that you have brought this fellow to behave as a madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? This is for me personally, one of the funniest statements made by any king in Israel throughout the entire Old Testament. It's one thing to see a madman and be like, oh, well, the king just be like, oh, that's just another madman. But it's another thing for the king to ask his servants, like, yo, why you bringing that next madman? We look like we lacking on madmen in the present. We have too much madmen in the kingdom. Where you trying to bring another one? Oh, Jesus is one of my favorite passages from David's run. And for me personally, I just want to see somebody adapt this periods of David's life. Like the story of David and Goliath is one we will always cherish. But there's too much David and Goliath stuff. So to get into David's, like the parts of David's life where he was on the run from Saul, it just, oh jeez, I can't even express it in words fully. This is some of my favorite stuff about David. David went through it. He been through it. He been through it all. I mean, to get to the point where you have to act like a madman and have spit running on your bed is like, that's reaching a point of like, oh jeez. Yeah. And with that, we'll end up the video right here. If you enjoyed the video to this point, then why not consider leaving a like and subscribing with post notifications and even sharing the channel with others. On this channel, we primarily break down Christian and non-Christian fictional stories with emphasis on those that have some sort of Christian theme or where authors make statements like this. Probably the fascination with the sublime. For instance, the parts of the Bible that interest me are those parts where God is an unknowable, capricious presence. The book of Job is a particular favorite. But we also make more generalized Christian content like this video where I just go on rambles about passages in the Bible I like a lot. And an initiative to do Christian creative projects ranging from making replicas of different places in the Bible to turning Christian fictional stories into a small-scale video game. If you enjoyed the video to the point you are looking to check out another one of our videos, then check out the time David had to fight an entire war because of some shamefully shaved beards. Yes, David went through it all.